My old friend Neil Thompson helped bring the Pilling Pig back home. Well, a version of it at any rate. The Pilling Pig was a steam train, by the way. A steam train whose line closed decades ago. Now the route it followed is just another rural footpath. Difficult to locate at the Knott End side, where it begins as just another ginnel between two ordinary houses. Unless, like me and Jeanie McIntosh, you have the knowing of it. The tracks have been removed, but the memories live on in the imaginations of local steam enthusiasts, who talk poetically of the engine who came by its name by the squealing noise made by its whistle. Before the Great War, the Pilling Pig regularly transported soldiers to and from Knott End for exercises. As Albert Clayton recorded regarding the arrival of the West Riding Royal Field Artillery, that's quite a mouthful, as the actress said to the bishop. On Sunday the 27th of June 1909, the soldiers brought their guns and horses and carried out target practice, firing at shipwrecks on Pilling Sands. The Knott End station waiting room is also now long since gone. It stood on the site of the Ferry Cafe, a favourable haunt these days of amiable weekend bikers, in their leather jackets and the sort of beards you could hide a tribe of knack-back feagles in. It's difficult to say exactly what Knott End actually is without resorting to bad language. It's not quite a village, it's not quite a town. It's not even a suburb of Fleetwood because the River Wyre gets in the way. It has a clock, it has a war memorial where some archaeologists reckon the Viking Hacken, after whom Hackensall is named, is buried. Only it's consecrated ground now, what with it being a war memorial and all, so nobody's allowed to dig it up and have a look. Knott End also has a ferry to Fleetwood, more of a large orange smarty really, and an all-male nudist club. Fortunately, it was a cold morning when we filmed the place, so none of the members were out in their birthday suits. And a pub called the Bourne Arms, now overshadowed by what appears to be the incongruous wreck of a 1920s liner, and a child-friendly church that was locked, and a golf course with a public footpath across it where, if you walk really, really slowly, it upsets the golfers no end. Knott End is where old racists go to die. They voted Brexit round these parts, half of them believing that World War II was still going on. At one time, Wyre Borough Council were considering changing the name of the village-stroke town to Sunset Bay, but the residents said, "Don't be so bloody daft." From the cafe, the original Pilling Pig route ran across the golf course, which wasn't there back then, over the stupidly named Winnie Lane, which led to Hackensall Hall. It's a Grade 2 listed Tudor mansion, is Hackensall Hall, rebuilt in 1656 by Richard and Anne Fleetwood, presumably with some help from professional builders. It has a medieval dovecote and an equally medieval fish pond. The previous building dated back to the 1180s when Sir Geoffrey the Arbalaster defended the river mouth from Irish raiders with his two enormous siege crossbows. That's what arbalests were, big, intentionally unfriendly crossbows of mass destruction. The hall had a boggart once which took the form of a horse which helped out around the farm, as long as the owners left a fire burning in the kitchen hearth for it. If the fire went out, the kitchen would end up smashed into pieces. Boggarts can be temperamental like that. Two ghosts also haunted the building at one time, believed to belong to the skeletons discovered bricked up in the wall during the restoration work in 1873. The ghost was so annoying that a local priest was called in to exorcise them, because a bit of exercise always makes restless souls sleepy. From Winnie Lane we pick up the Pilling Pig route proper, a narrow grassy concourse snaking through the trees and fields of the district to Preesall Hill. For once me and Jeanie McIntosh didn't get lost. It's a bit difficult to get lost down the Knott End to Preesall Pilling Pig route for obvious reasons. It's a straightforward ramble, occasioned only by a lone dog walker or a confused jogger. Here and there you can just about make out the remains of where the Pilling Pig would take on water or let the old folk out for a pee. It's also quite muddy for some reason, even in the middle of summer. Towards the Preesall end, the route becomes known as Green Lane as it passes Parrots Hall. The ancient manor, rebuilt in Elizabethan times in the shape of a capital E, hidden behind a choker of trees. The earliest reference to Parrot Hall can be found in a document in the Lancashire County Archives, dated 1456, referring to a property that had already existed for some considerable time. Just occasionally, the hall opens its doors to the public, which was how Michelle managed to get these photographs of it. Much of the original building still exists and is still occupied by the Ellison family, joint lords of Preesall with Hackensall. The walkable bit of the Pilling Pig route ends abruptly at Preesall Hill. From here onwards it can be picked up at the Ellison Arms in Pilling, the now demolished bridge crossing the Lancaster Canal at Garstang Marina, and at various other locations as it rambles its way towards the junction with the main line on the far side of Garstang, although not in the form of a public footpath. For the record, because we're not great railway enthusiasts, I like watching steam engines, but that's about as far as it goes. The passenger service was discontinued in 1930 and the line closed completely in 1965. As for the Pilling Pig itself, it rests gleaming on the front lawn of the Fold House Caravan Park, just 200 yards from where the Pilling station originally stood. Or rather, it doesn't. The current pig is actually a 50-year-old locomotive that previously served time at a colliery in South Wales. It was transported from Wolverhampton in 2001 and, to the excitement of onlookers, was hoisted over the chestnut trees by a giant crane brought up from Stoke-on-Trent. 60 specialist companies and 120 dedicated enthusiasts spent 10 whole months bringing the engine back to its former glory, before finally, on May the 10th, 2002, it was unveiled to an admiring public to the strains of Elgar's Pomp and Circumstance. The Mayor of Wyre, no, not Ian Stafford, the former Mayor of Preesall, thank God, was the first to clamber aboard, informing the reporter from the Gazette that it's a proud day for the people of Pilling, want to put Pilling on the map. According to the Ordnance Survey, Pilling was never off the map. That's enough for this episode. Don't forget to call again when you've got nothing better to do, and bring a bottle next time.
1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl and 4 for a boy, 5 for silver, 6 for gold, 7 for a secret never to be told. 8 tuition, 9 a kiss, 10 is a bird you must not miss. 1 for sorrow.